Hi, today I will tell you how to get 100 gold bars and almost $10,000 at the very beginning of the game. Also, I will set a timer to see how long it takes. Therefore, the video will be complete. I will cut only the loading moments and speed up the farming moments. But the time will remain real. I will leave links to all glitches in the hints in the right corner and in the description of the video. So, let's get started. I created a new character and started a new game. Skip the training mission and start the game in my camp. As you can see, I have the 3rd level and I'm in a solo session. For those who don't know how to get in a solo session, I'll leave a hint. My progress has zeros everywhere. The only things that I have 8 gold bars and $2,000. Don't pay attention to that. When you delete a character and create a new one, all gold and money are transferred to the new character. And the roles that you had open also transferred, but they are at 0 level. So I start the timer and begin. The first thing I need to do is get the Lake Isabella treasure map. Now I start treasure map farming glitch. I leave a hint for this glitch. Now I go into this location. There I will spawn the camp in the right place. This is where I need spawn a camp. Good. Now we need go to the main menu and select the camp. I remind you that you must be in a solo session. Well, let's start farming. I call a horse and ride to the tree where I will find my first treasure map. After taking the treasure map, you need to switch the internet connection in the console settings. I leave a hint on how to do it. Then choose a camp and ride to the tree again. You should repeat everything in a circle until you get a treasure map of Lake Isabella.
Hey cowboy, if you want to know more about Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Online, subscribe to the channel. Believe me, Thanatos knows a lot of interesting things in this game.
I got the map from the 14th time. Here everything depends from your luck. Let's go to the next step. We have unused rewards. That's why we go to the Valentine and buy a horse. Choose a horse and a saddle for it. Also, you can buy a couple of tonics. Your next destination is Lake Isabella. Therefore, go to the station and use fast troll to Coulter. Next, ride to the lake. Okay, we proceed to the last step, gold bars farming. I leave a hint on how to do it correctly. Now I invite my partner to my session. And spawn the chest. I don't have dynamite, so my partner will help me with that. Now blow up the chest and start farming. During the run you will use two markers, this stone and this grass. You need to run around the markers for 8 minutes. Friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done yet. You will find a lot of interesting content from the world of Red Dead Redemption. So, 8 minutes passed, I run to the chest and take the treasures. Open a chest, hold the square and take a reward. That's it. Now I have 100 gold bars and almost $10,000. So, now let's summarize. From the beginning of the game, in order to get 100 gold bars and $10,000, you need to complete 2 glitches and spend 1 hour and 10 minutes of time. 41 minutes I played and 30 minutes of loading I cut when I farmed treasure map. Okay friends, that's all for now. Take care of yourself and see you in the next video.